welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Prejudice series here featuring Gemini Brown. This is the piece Dealer, and we are at the final video of the series, Aries and Libra. Okay, do look forward to us expanding more on this series, albeit in a different way. We'll probably focus on different things, but for those of you who want to catch up on the first 5 episodes, I do have the links to those down below on all our respective channels. Shout out to all of you joining us, especially in the live chat. Gemini Brown, what's popping with you, man?
I'm good, bro. I'm chilling. Excited about the new moon tomorrow. You know, we're a little bit closer to that Astro New Year. Coming off of Valentine's Day. I hope everybody, let their inner thotty out during this transit. I feel like the energy is just like, it's been good. If you got somebody, or you're seeking a little bump and grind, that you got that out your system.
Yeah, and if you're looking for, if you want it, just make the intention. It'll find you. That's definitely that energy for sure.
Yeah. Well, you want to know something? Because I always, since I've been studying astro, I always pay close attention to the Venus and Pisces transit.
Right.
And if I'm being very honest with you, this could be me, or it could be someone else out there too. The energy, let's say you're thirsty or you're just open. You're like, I'm seeing something. Because, we all tend to look at the energy certain ways. Like I could say in the beginning, of my studies, I'm like, okay, this should mean this. And you kind of expecting the thing to happen. You know what I'm saying? But overall, I feel like this particular transit, Pisces dealing with fantasy, illusion, all of that if you allow it to, it'll always present some type of mirage. It'll give you some type of false hope, or it'll play on your ideal in some type of way. Mm-hmm. And then, like I said, depending on how you're approaching it, you can experience disillusionment. But if you acknowledge this, it sharpens the perception for next time around.
Right.
And then I always say this, like Pisces, 12th house, this is a magical energy. So when planets are in Pisces, I tell y'all, like, this is where we really understand that, rituals and stuff are all very practical things. So you want to appease that energy. You, rather than trying to seek someone out in the physical, you want to appease your spirit guides to rather help bring that through. You want to do some meditation to, imagine and ground in some stuff, and you'll be surprised what you'll be able to, attract sooner than later. So yeah, very magical time and all of that.
Very magical time, and trust in the magic of new beginnings, y'all. This is definitely going to be one of the most significant Pisces seasons. This Pisces season, 2024 Pisces season, 2025's Pisces season, and it'll be the next 3, I think, most significant that we've ever had. So it's an honor to experience this with y'all, and I think it's cool that we get to conclude this series with the first opposition in the zodiac. It's like we're ending with the beginning here. And Aries,
okay, hold on, I just want to say this much. Yeah, drop in the comments if you experience any type of synchronicity, because that's like another part of what I'm saying too. Like the synchronicities are crazy. Yo, I gotta share this one. Yo, so I'm listening to J. Cole song. It's called Let Go My Hand, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a little simple. So I'm listening to the song and I'm focusing on what he's saying, but I'm thinking about other stuff that is making me think about. And it made me think about somebody. And I promise you, within 2 days of this moment of hearing the song, the same person I was thinking about during the song sent me some type of gratitude text and said within it something about at this time you let go of my hand. I was like, yo, this is too crazy.
You know, yeah, those type of synchronicities that have you like, is this the Truman Show? Like, what the fuck? Like,
Bro,
yeah,
it'd be crazy.
yeah. Especially the whole notion of like thinking of people and within 2 days, like they pop up. You know what I'm saying? That's been really fun. That's been really interesting. Um, and I'm so glad you mentioned that too, because that whole synchronization has just been intensifying so much more. It's like going into each other, like boom, 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 boom. So that's definitely a sign of amazing things here, amazing things to come. And if anything, just another application of our magical abilities. So Aries, Libra is, of course, the most classic opposition in the zodiac. It is the classic opposition of the zodiac, and I really like how fundamental it is, really, because we have the premier OG individual, all right, the 0 to 2, and then we have the premier social sign, which is 35 to 44 years old. Let me make sure that's not Scorpio though. I think Scorpio might be 35 to no, Virgo is like 22 to 35 and or 28 to 35, middle age. No, that's Libra. That's Libra. Let me look that up real quick. But basically you have the premier OG social sign, and then you have the premier OG individual sign. And before we really get into the nature of these signs, right? I think interesting understanding of this. There we go. I think an interesting understanding of this comes with looking at Virgo and with looking at Pisces. You know what I'm saying? Looking at the looking at the 12th house versus looking at the 6th house. So we know that for, of course, Aries, Aries in the first house has, of course, the 12th house. And with Pisces, before we kind of look at our, and yeah, continue to comment your signs for those of you who have Aries and Libra. When we look at our identity, our Aries, our identity is very much so influenced by, of course, our 12th house, our beliefs about ourselves, our spiritual beliefs, and what we're getting ready to release. That directly, literally leads into and ties into, all right, I'm just going to go on this website. That directly leads into and ties into this whole notion of how you believe who you are. And this kind of ties into manifestation and elements with Neville Goddard that say, of course, what you believe, right, about yourself is going to be who you are. It's going to definitely also go a long way into revealing this whole it's going to go a long way into revealing this whole nature and notion of how it is you express yourself. And then of course you have the sixth house in Virgo. It's what influences more so or less the quality of your behavior. And you take all the elements of your personality from Pisces to Leo or Aries to Leo, and you integrate it all in your lifestyle. But just like the 12th house influences who you are, the 6th house is going to influence your partnerships because it's your behavior that you integrate into your partnerships. And that's what I learned recently over the past couple of years that made me really respect the 12th first and the 6th, 7th house. The what supports a relationship is how well two people's 6 houses merge together. Because if they don't get that, then the relationship is doomed to fail. And what do you feel about that? And expanding on that.
So how it stood out to me was because we all say the same things in our own unique ways. That's the beautiful thing.
Yeah.
So I know, like, if that Venus comes into your 6th, boy, I mean that isn't a long-term marriage marker. Now, someone's Venus in your 6th is like the relationship can help service y'all both, but more than likely could be seen to prepare you for, let's say, another partnership, or to be able to interact with others differently. So I give an example, like let's say someone has a composite Virgo, or they have a composite Virgo or a composite Venus in Virgo. This definitely is a relationship in which you may learn something that you take with you and becomes like something that someone admires from you, about you in another partnership. And if you look within yourself like, oh wow, I became this way because I was with such and such. That didn't last, ultimately ended, but it prepared you. It healed you in a way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of how I kind of see it. And then I was gonna say, I think I lost my thought. I was gonna say something else about that. You repeat what you said, Mike. You said if two people, six houses, that what?
Two people, six houses, their lifestyles is what I realized influences whether the seventh house works out, because the sixth house integrates every other life. It's their lifestyle, and then the other person's lifestyle. So how well can two people, six houses work together? Because if my lifestyle clashes with your lifestyle, the relationship's just not going to work. So it just made me realize the importance of Virgo for Libra, or the sixth house, right? Towards, of course.
Got you.
Yeah. So, if we, okay, let me try this. If we look now more at, and I'm right now pulling up this article so I could be sure, but if we just look a little bit more, oh, wow, that's so fucking dope. If we look a little bit more into, the nature of how we see these signs also kind of interact with each other, it's really epic because we see the axis of the hero versus the villain. I have this whole notion of and Aries, the axis between Aries and Libra taught me about Beauty and the Beast. It also taught me about, or rather, Tarzan and Jane, where Tarzan is that Martian figure and Jane is the Venusian figure. And, right? Tarzan domesticated, Tarzan was savage, the Aries. It's
it's still hard. If I'm being honest, because one thing with being a Venus in the 12th for me, I'm consistently like telling myself about the realistic way relationships go. And one of them is that, opposites. So I still have a hard time accepting that. Like, like Tarzan could get Jane. Like, what? Like fuck him. But no, I joke, y'all. I joke.
No, it's a real shit. And also, it's interesting because they come from different worlds that if it wasn't for a third party, they would never be in the same room together. And that's another way, to see this classic opposition where Venus, of course, gains that authenticity and originality from a Tarzan in a world that could be so wrapped up in image. So, I really did appreciate that. And also, if you look, and this is what really made me appreciate how a lot of the energy is coming back around Aries and the social energy is empty. A lot of the way society does not respect the individual. So Aries, Taurus, Gemini, and Cancer face the brunt of that. And then you have the four antisocial zodiac signs and the four antisocial personalities, which are the Aquarius rising, Pisces rising, Aries rising, Taurus rising, because opposite those four signs are the four social signs. Of course, Scorpio, Leo, Libra, and Virgo. And it made me over the few years recognize the psychology between Aries and Libra is so fascinating, because with Capricorn as like the rules and the integrity, and Libra being the law, right? The fairness. Aries is that individual where I have the right and sovereignty to do what I want. It's a sense of omnipotence, 0 to 2. I can cry knowing my parents are going to respond to me. But it's not until Libra I start to open up to the need to put all of my attributes together and live in a way that's fair for everyone. Because the need for this cardinal cross is the need to establish identity and politics. So the reason why I can be me and you can be you is, whether spoken or unspoken, we have a sense of agreements, right? Libra is the social axis that puts the individual in check, and Aries is the individual that puts its society in check. And in between Aries and Libra, we have Cancer, where the closer you are to Cancer, the more you care for other people. The more you're at Aries, the more you're self-centered, which neither are bad things, but this is something that I want to kind of draw together. So when we have disputes, right, the reason why you and I will not always agree on things, it's the collective Capricorn, where Aries and Libra can now argue what they agreed on. And it's the law of Capricorn that will mediate that dispute with integrity, so that the sincerity of how two people share individual feelings can have integrity. This all goes out the window once Capricorn is corrupt, Libra is corrupt. The purpose of Libra and Capricorn is to put Aries in check, because if one individual has too much power and starts conquering things, we need the power of the society. But then if the society is corrupt and the laws are corrupt, the individuals have to put it in check, like you saw with the American Revolution. So I wanted to say all this because what you see in society, and I really want to know what you feel about this too, because you actually have Virgo moon, Virgo rising, you are social, right? Did you notice this whole trend? And it's not all bad, right? But what you see in postmodern culture is everything that moves towards Leo and Libra is seen as the hero, and everything that's towards Aquarius and Aries and sometimes Gemini is seen as the villain, right? If you look at the people who are in trouble in society, you have these Geminis expressing their true ideas versus those like the Kim Kardashians, the Libras, who maintain certain status quo. That being said, you have Libras and Aquariuses who do the Aries shit. You have Aries who do the Libra shit. So it's not specific to zodiac sign, but the actual nature of the energy, right? Society pushes you, and it's not a bad or good thing, but like society pushes you with these social energies to care more about others other than yourself, right? To do more for other people, to put on a show for other people, to be involved with other people, right? To actually go out there, be a part of your community, be of service, Virgo, versus when you see villains that are more so stereotyped in postmodern culture, they're people who keep to themselves. They're people who are independent. They're people who feel like they can do everything by themselves, right? And in one sense, this is true, but in another sense, it brings the villainization of individuality. And where we're seeing this trope now, where the heroes are the villains and the villains are heroes. So I always said that Aries in this new age is the villain, and Leo and Libra are the heroes. But what you find out is Aries is the villain. It's the first villain, like Anakin Skywalker, who was the original hero before Leo, Luke Skywalker, the hero. But what we're seeing now is Aries is the villain that's actually, you find out, the hero. Like they're just the designated villain that's only the villain because they do things their own way and they're not giving in to the agenda or the system. Whereas traditionally it didn't always used to be like this. Aries used to be the villain that had to learn not to be so selfish. But yes, Aries are also the vigilantes. I like that too. Versus Libra, who's going to align to the law code and do things right. So
nah, everything
all that.
Everything you're saying, I'm just gonna say the same thing. It's like, okay. So in my mind, how it is that right now, because I feel like it's always changing though. So I don't
it's always like changing. That's so true.
In a natural sense, it is like that. But then I feel like we have time periods where, Capricorn is kind of always there.
And I like how you said it's always changing, because
it's always changing. Because I do feel like, all right, so for me, especially we experienced this Pluto in Cap transit, it feels like the loss of like it's the loss of culture or individual culture.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I feel like the masters, this is all in my head, y'all. So the masters to me, which are Sag, the masters have been sent to the secret place. It's like, we fuck y'all. All right. Like, your truth, we don't want the truth. We want those who are going to assimilate into so Pluto and Cap gave out power to the individual. And it goes to this that saying, like, with that, you're gonna have more, right? So more people able to make stuff and create content, and it won't necessarily be as good because it's less curated. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I see what you mean. Right. Yeah.
So like you hit it on the whole. Libra is just like, we just want to know what's gonna work. We don't really want to say fuck you or fuck you. We just want to know what the people want, and let that rock. But like, to be, like you said, to be an individual is to be perceived as a villain because you're not playing that part. Like, you're not
playing the part. You're not fitting into the narrative.
Yeah, but I'm trying to say it in a different way. Like, you brought up Kim Kardashian and all of that. Right. It's like it limits something. I'm just at a loss for words though. But this is good, Kyle. Yeah.
When you come up with it, feel free to interrupt and say it.
Yeah.
You mentioned another thing that's also very classic with this opposition, and everything with Aries and Libra kicks off the opposition series for the rest of the signs. So it kind of applies to the rest. And I love that we did this last. But basically, Aries is raw and Libra is polished. You know what I mean? So right. Libra practiced for 30 minutes or 30 hours and they did the performance perfectly. Whereas Aries just came up with it on the fly and they're fucking up a little bit, but it's raw. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's literally raw. It's not unpolished. And I'm going to explain the actual process of getting from Aries Libra, which is always beautiful to me. But I love how you said, the masters and everything.
Yeah, I think I got it back. That was a good example. Right. I like you said that. All right. Right. So polished and raw. So individual. What comes to mind is like, so one of the ways in which to be a villain, like, it's like, say you're an artist, one of the ways in this day to be a villain is like, I don't want to play the stream game. I don't want to go to iTunes. I don't want to go to Spotify. Come to me. Right now, when we go to the masses, well, Capricorn is like, well, that doesn't go within the system. You know what I'm saying? And now we got to look at the people that are also represented by Capricorn, the condition to only look towards where it's being fed from. You get what I'm saying? So it's like you become a villain to someone who would be a fan to you if you polished yourself more, or if you just chose to dip on your individuality, conform a little bit more. So now another example that comes to mind is like this, like, and this kind of just where we're at right now at this particular time. And, over while Pluto's in Capricorn, someone could have gave you a book that said, these are the secrets to life. This is everything that you need to succeed in life. Yeah. However, if that person did not, Libra, aesthetically look like they had the keys and the secrets to life, you wouldn't read that book.
Right, if the image wasn't there.
If the image wasn't there. Yeah. So it speaks to your point. The rawness is like, no, raw, this is me. No, this is me. This is what I know. This is what it is here. But from the Libra perspective, and then that square to, Capricorn is like, well, it's supposed to be this way. You know what I'm saying? It's supposed to look like this. It's supposed to be so raw. So yeah, that's
No,
what comes to
and
mind.
that is so important to speak on too, because like I have a lot of Aries and I don't have Libra, I don't have Virgo, I don't have like the social. So there's a place for every energy is important. But that Libra perspective is the social perspective. It's what the society feels. Pisces is a whole collective. Aries is the individual. We all are the Aries aspect of our individuality. So that's why, I'll go like I made it a point to put this message out there where my message is raw. So like I go out of my way to look unprofessional. Just
You said it one time. You said it. You said something like, "No, I think you and Flight Boss said this, and both of y'all said I'm an example of you don't need to try hard." And I
yeah.
think you were talking about, I was like, "Yo, I got a camera, I got this," but I remember you saying that. Yep.
And I'm glad you mentioned Dolo because he is that principle, is the Aries principle. And it's like, the reason why I do that, I'm literally ashy right now. And it's like that's a choice though. It takes nothing to just, you know what I'm saying, wash my hands, make sure if I wanted to step into my Venus and do my beard and look really well, I can. And it's not something I won't. But what I noticed about the psychology of that is the reason why people who are aesthetically pleasing and put the Venus on and appeal to society, there's so much psychology in the look. When someone looks the part, you know what I'm saying? They're going to be taken more serious. So I like to, I like to take this on its head to where it's like, I'm not going to do that. And I'm going to notice that the reason why you don't tune into me more is because you're so focused on a superficial. But the irony is the message is raw though. The message is amazing versus you have people who look the part and they get more views because people want to be looked, but they're basura. Like they're not saying shit and they're lying to you. You know what I'm saying? And this isn't to make a point, but just like people would listen to someone who wears a proper suit and is cheating you, but they won't take serious a person that doesn't look the part but is doing you right. And that's really like the way I like to troll and just kind of highlight that because that's what Aries Libra taught me. And this is why Libra is a finesser at the core. Libra is Venusian. They know the art of the deal because they know this is why the higher signs are more image obsessed versus Aries to Cancer, which I learned is substance. And then of course, Leo to Scorpio is polishing the substance and putting it in its can. I remember somebody had told me he was in acting and he was like, you know what? You're like a Coca-Cola, but you just don't have the bottle. You just need that's your issue. Like you got the goods, you got the substance. You just need a polish. You just got to need the actual branding of the Coke. And that's what I realized. People who have like the first four signs, they got the juice, Cancer, they got the substance, the goods, the authenticity. But if they don't have the others, how do you polish it versus other people who know how to present it? And I know it's Libras and Scorpios always get accused of stealing other people's shit because you know what I'm saying, from Drake to certain battle rappers too. And the thing is, even Dave Chappelle. And the thing is, it's that quote where it's like a good artist
knows how to borrow.
Exactly. It's the truth. It's the truth. But it made me realize how, if you look, Libra looks up to Cancer, Virgo looks up to fucking Gemini. It's like these individuals will never get their word out. Let me repurpose it and put it in my polished way. And that's the psychology of how these people get inspired. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it made me realize people been stealing from Ye. Like people steal from Gemini, people steal from Aries, people take Taurus indiscriminately. You know what I'm saying?
You want to know what's funny, Mike? I had this thought, like within the last 2 days. I mean, it was random. Because I didn't see nothing on IG. It was kind of like I was just meditating and the shit came to mind. But I was saying, I want to know when Eddie Murphy got the idea for the Nutty Professor.
Who's the Aries?
He's the Aries, right?
Yeah,
right. Yeah. Big Aries. And
Aries is original. I like how Phoenix said nothing is original, but I'll go ahead and say Aries is the original, regardless.
Right.
There's nothing new under the sun, but Aries is original.
Right. So
Originality.
and so I thought about I wonder where he got this idea. It was obviously in the mid-90s. I was just wondering, I'm like, I wonder if he was watching Family Matters one day, because I don't know if you're familiar with that show, Family Matters, Steve Urkel. He
It's
played a
a
lot of
new edition. Eddie Murphy was a part of Family Matters.
no.
Okay.
I was no. What I'm saying is I wondered if, because in Family Matters, Urkel or Jaleel White plays a lot of characters. He played his own cousin.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I had
yeah.
a random thought like that. It was
Yeah.
very random. And it was like, oh, like, because Eddie Murphy did his thing in The Nutty Professor. So I was like, if Eddie, the way thinking about what we are just talking about, a genius knows how to borrow. I was thinking Eddie could have easily saw an episode of Family Matters and got hit with the Nutty Professor idea.
Or inspired. And I like to think, people kind of borrow from each other. Like Aries looks up to Capricorn, and you know what I'm saying? But as far as just like, because like I don't doubt that happened, but one thing that I noticed with that is, and you just gave me this epiphany, Jaleel White is a Scorpio. So we see in that show
He's not a Sag?
November 27th, he's a Sagittarius.
Sagittarius, yeah.
Sagittarius, you're right. And I was gonna say
probably has Venus in Scorpio or something.
And you know what's crazy? Aries looks up to Sag and Cap. So it possibly got inspired by that. But what's also interesting is, whereas you see Eddie do a myriad of different characters individually, all by himself, I feel like in that case, you see a transformation, which from one to the other, which I thought was really interesting to keep in mind. But, other than that, once again, I just am so fascinated with the Aries to Libra pipeline, and we're going to go down through it. When you learn this, it helps you understand astrology so much more fundamentally. And I'm going to go down from Aries to Virgo, and then you can complete that continuing from Libra to Pisces. Okay, JC, thank you so much. So basically, Aries, right, is, and I'll mention the opposition before Gemini Brown goes through and goes into, and he'll probably mention the oppositions I do from his perspective. But basically, Aries is the individual, right? That individuality is matched by the other in Libra. So my individual core personality is expressed authentically, so that when I express it in Libra, it's expressed classically, right? But of course, my individuality manifests my values. I, as an individual, have quality, and this quality is represented by Taurus and the second house. And so, relative to the quality of my being and identity, I'm able to express an attitude and a message based on these values, the third house, okay, and Gemini. And then relative to my mindset and the way I communicate my individuality, we begin to integrate this with our feelings, and not just our feelings, our soul self, the core and depth of where my identity in Aries feels at home. Where am I comfortable to be myself? And where do I go out my comfort zone? Because based on this feeling of comfort, in order for me to step into a creative space like a child, that child was in the womb of their mother. And so in order for me to actually be creative and express all that I can be in the fifth house, this is why you have to be in a place of comfort, because the fourth house will determine the nature of the fifth, the nature of your self-esteem in the second house, which is going to develop whose resources invest in me in the eighth. And then the third house, my ideas, which will influence the philosophies in the ninth. And then the home space that'll influence what careers and where I go out in the 10th, right? The self-esteem of the second house is going to influence, if I'm confident in my values, then I'm going to be confident in expressing my talents, the full expression of the first house, Aries. And so based on this creativity and how strong and bold I can develop my talents, I can use that to integrate fully into a behavior and a lifestyle. And so that's the first to the sixth house, the lifestyle of the integration of the routine of my identity, first house, my values, second house, my ideas, third house, my home, fourth house, and my talents in the fifth constitute my lifestyle in the sixth, which based on my attitude, what I'm thinking every day, that becomes my lifestyle, which becomes my ninth house, which becomes my 12th house. And all of that integrates into the seventh. And you can take it away as far as how that goes to the 12.
So once I reach the seven, now I'm gonna go back to the six now.
Right.
Go back, I'm going to six. So I'm welling with confidence from the fifth. And I have a strong sense of who I am, what I'm good at, right? Now I want y'all, for me, in my perspective, I look at the fifth as dealing with, in a sense, right? All these things is linked together. Like, so the fifth is a particular set of knowledge. You get a particular set of knowledge. Okay. And so
I learned that it's undergraduate education too. I didn't realize it.
Yeah. But remember, just differs. Everyone just got these different paths and stuff like that. So when you get to the sixth, so you're there in the fifth, you got that, that sense of self. And let's say it's the end of high school, right? And this is all culminating with your personal environment. So behind you, this is everything your fourth house, your family, your local friends and environment, right? And that's built you up to be this individual. When you get to the sixth, you figure out how that others, you get a little taste of others, right? And how to work with others, and that you may not get that same attention that you got in your environment. Okay. So in the sixth house, there's this humbling that occurs in order to prepare you for the seventh. Okay. So then we get to the seventh. And when you get to the seventh, you should have this understanding of others, but you're still learning them. So you realize that you want something, and another person, wants something, but what that thing may be, may not necessarily be in alignment with who you initially are in the first, or what that initial spark is. So there's a reorientation that can happen in the seventh, and the sun is debilitated here because in Leo, you thought you thought like, this is my purpose. And an example I can give is like, when you get to college, you might become a role player, right? If you're an athlete, you were the star in high school, but now you have to figure out a new role, right? Now this new role can help you gain balance, right? Now you're here in this new role, and you have two decisions. You could settle into this role, or you can seek to improve, right? You want to channel some inner fire or desire to become greater than you were, right? And at this point, you may, from your ability to learn from others, right? So say you're around others where it's like, wow, this person works a little bit harder in this way than I ever did. The key thing is this is kind of goes back to that borrowing thing, Mike. You can borrow these qualities from others, right? To bring greater balance towards your individuality. So what I'm trying to get at is like,
that's real.
We can have this false sense of self, and through the sixth and the seventh, it's what humbles you to be able to be fair, because at an egoistic level, one, we could say, that you can't do it alone, or you don't have all the answers, but you're willing to see where you can improve. Sixth and
right. Okay. Yeah. That's the humbling. I feel you. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Now what this does, that induces a transformation. Now, there are a couple of things that can induce this transformation. It's your approach towards that fifth house thing, that confidence, whatever you were given, that talent, right? And how you're developing it. You can, in a sense, like I said, settle with the naturalness, or you could work harder. Sixth house, right? And from working harder, you're gaining things from others, right? You're learning from others, and then that induces a transformation within you. You now get to the point where you want to be. You're a winner. You're here in the ninth. You've achieved. You have a perspective on how you did that. You have a truth. This worked for me, right? And like I said, I could go many examples, right? So you just think about any individual, even LeBron James. I'm sure when he got to the league, he hit some adversity. He made a little adjustment, and he kept on his own trajectory.
Oh, I got chills when you mentioned LeBron James. Please keep saying what you're saying, but at some point,
so LeBron's a sun in the seventh.
I didn't know that, but
he's a sun in the seventh.
Can you at some point please mention the significance of him being a Capricorn and becoming the greatest, the all-time leading scorer? Because Capricorn is the GOAT. So I feel like it's all right. So it's more than just being the scorer. So all right, in one sense, you're right.
In the athlete sense, the seventh house becomes that's the seventh house, team sports, right?
Oh,
sextile with the fifth and the ninth, right?
I didn't even think about that.
And that's your truth. So when you sun in the seventh is a natural leader. However,
right, especially in Capricorn.
However, if it's depending on the sign, that'll naturally be given, right? So in LeBron's sense, he had the potential, he had everything. It's like, you're the one, you're supposed to build this. You're supposed to be Capricorn. So what LeBron had to do was to anchor into the qualities of the sign to really figure out how to avoid the pitfalls and, essentially establish those Capricorn qualities to build that into the sixth house and, every day. But there's a bigger thing here with him. And that is because it's Capricorn in the seventh house, I feel it's like the team behind him is also responsible for the amount of the greatness, because it's like those around you have the same mentality that you do in terms of what they want you to become. So because it's the sun, it's like those around me are pouring into me. Does this make sense?
No, especially knowing his son is in the seventh makes sense to his trading too, and why he traded.
Why he what?
I feel like the controversy about him trading the Miami Heat has more to do with him being a seventh house son, and I didn't know that at the time.
Right, like they were kind of being low-key possessive about him, like you ain't going nowhere, right? But he needed now, mind you, another interesting thing about LeBron's story, bro, is when he turned pro. So when he was leaving the fifth, he was technically still in his local environment because he's from Ohio.
Right? Yeah, that's real. Yeah.
So that was part of like life giving him extra nurturing, and then by the time he went to Miami, it was like the equivalent of graduating college and now going into the real world.
Oh my God, bro, you just gave me an epiphany. Thank you so much. So like, I didn't even, because like when Will Smith won his only Oscar, Saturn of accomplishments was on his MC, a reputation. And now LeBron got his award while Jupiter is in his 10th house. I didn't even realize that. Right. That shit is fucking crazy. Holy shit. Yeah, dude. I knew there was something significant about that because it's a lifetime achievement. That's the greatest of all time archetype. And you see it with Pisces, the legends, 50-0, Rihanna, Crown Treasure Barbados, and you see it with the GOATs, R. Kelly, you know what I'm saying, LeBron James. I don't think I know R. Kelly might not be the best example in this day. But still regardless, but yeah.
All right, let me finish this. So, all right, boom. So let me just reiterate. So the eighth house aspect of this, y'all, is simply saying that there's going to be, if you want greater harmony or even a greater self. There's something about your old self that has to die. There's something, we could call it compromise or whatever. There's a transformation that you need to endure in order to emerge a greater self, which you'll emerge within the ninth. And when you emerge from there, you'll have a perspective. Now, mind you, this perspective will come whether or not you make a good decision or not, because it's kind of like, you could be one of those people who's like, damn, I let this opportunity, go by me. Or, I should have settled down when I had the opportunity. You know what I'm saying? By the time you get to the ninth, you have a perspective on how to play the game per se, right? So then we get into the 10th house, where at this point, you're now able to attract others via the establishment of some type of brand. Based on what you've learned and how you establish that truth, it'll come into a particular brand. Now, I feel like the square is that your brand isn't going to be for everybody. However, there is a group of people out there for you. So if you can stay steadfast within what that purpose is and what that brand is, naturally through time in the future, right, you'll find your tribe, right? You'll find your tribe. You'll end up in the 11th house with other like-minded individuals, right? So we have to stay firm and established in what it is that we believe. All right. Okay. And then from there, we got to be willing to, we use that extra influence. And at some point we innovate, right? We innovate and we do something different than before. Within this innovation process, it's that we finally kind of either reach this point of like selflessness, right? Or depending on your desire for, said thing, you may still be caught within ego, or you may feel sorrow about how things have gone, you know what I'm saying? Just depending on how anchored you are within the purpose, or, how you're displaying the purpose. So, at this point, we want to be of the purpose, but we don't want to be too attached to it. Now, so I'll leave it there. There's an interesting point that I wanted to make in regards to business, and a difference that I realized from empires that got built during Pluto and Scorpio versus Pluto and Cap. If we look at the establishment of brands like Bad Boy, Def Jam and stuff like that, those were an 8th house corresponding to legacy, right? We see that those brands or businesses were kind of established to serve as the person's truth. You know what I'm saying? Be a direct representative, for their truth. Whereas fast forward now, if you notice how everyone is selling their catalogs, or even QC recently sold. They recently sold.
Bieber sold his publishing too, I think.
Right. So if you look at specifically those people, these have really been the people who were making their legend or creating their legend during Pluto and Cap, where it's like the ultimate. And that's what I really took away. Like, yeah, it's just business.
That's just business. Yeah.
It's just business. Yeah, man.
That was so well said. And, before we get into the next segment, I think what's really beautiful about that is personally, what I mean? And I love that. You can't have the 5D without the 3D. It's all interwoven. We're all of it. And that's another thing too. We're breaking down these zodiac signs. Thank you, Devin. We're breaking down these zodiac signs. But remember, your body exists as one interwoven body, right? You're not the arm. You're not the head. You're all of it. You're not Aries. You're not Gemini. We're all these vibrations. So in just kind of isolating what these signs mean in our world and society, it gives us a very amazing understanding. I have a question for everyone, and this is more of a joke. Like, you don't have to take this too serious, but for those of you who are aware of like the graphs, like if you're playing Dungeons and Dragons or an RPG, and you see like a graph between lawful, chaotic, good and bad, and to let you know what kind of person you are. Like if you're lawful good, you're a crusader. If you're chaotic, evil, right? So let's say if we did that with the zodiac, lawful would probably be Libra, chaotic would be Aries. Chaotic meaning that you don't necessarily follow the law to the T. You're more individual. You do your own thing. Like Elisha's a chaotic neutral in the middle, right? Chaotic neutrals are more concerned about what they want to do versus if something is good or evil. So if they have to, you know what I'm saying, that'll come second, right? So if we say Aries is chaotic and Libra is lawful, they're going to do things that are right, that are just. The question I have for you is, would you make Capricorn good and Cancer evil, or would you make Capricorn evil and Cancer good? And I want you to think about that, because that should give you a mind F. We can say both of them are good, and if you're corrupt, both of them are evil. But which would you make one good or bad? Just to kind of see, is it good to have emotions and heart, or is that what makes you evil? And it's good to actually be detached, or is being detached. So something, and don't take it too serious, because that in a sense is like a false dilemma fallacy. But other than that, you know what I mean? I really like the whole notion of seeing how legacy pieces are big. And I think that's a huge Pluto cap. Like the legacy, the versus battles where we're seeing the legacy of our culture come through, and we're getting ready to kind of like start all of that again. So just something to keep in mind. And personally, this next segment I want to do, which I think is cool, is I'll take the Aries perspective, you take the Libra perspective, but we're going to go through each of the houses. All right. Starting from actually the 10th and the fourth house, right? So if we look at the fourth and the 10th house from an Aries perspective, we know that the fourth house is where you're from, right? Everyone here has a family name. And it's something I never really took seriously until Cancer season. And the main message that I started to get was, who, you know, I started to care more about, if I got married, what's the name I'm going to take, or will my wife take my name? And it's, for the first time, I never cared about this, but it's like, how would I introduce a prospective partner to my family? You know what I'm saying? This is all Cancer season stuff. The fourth house is directly tied to your reputation. This is where certain people, you know what I'm saying, you might want to make it in the world, but because of what your father or your mother or your uncle or your aunt did, that gets in the way of your 10th house. Oh, that's this person's son. That's this person's daughter. Where's that all coming from? The 7th house, which connects to the 11th house of community and, of course, guilds and demographics. So stuff is very fascinating, because if you look once again, especially how every one of them are just, they're not separate from each other, right? Like, I'm, in order for me to experience myself, it has to be with another. Even if I experienced it with myself, that's still a relationship with myself, making myself the other. Complex shit. And we see this with the fourth and the 10th, where, of course, after I leave work, I come home. Even if I'm fucking homeless, I'm going to put my bum somewhere. And of course, the space that I'm able to recharge in the fourth enables me to go back out and fulfill my legacy and purpose in the 10th. So from an Aries perspective, we're seeing that, of course, the fourth house is now my individuality and my understanding of myself relative to where I'm from, what my ethnicity is, how I understand who I am. Because I'm Michael, right? But how do I understand who I am? My Nigerian heritage, how my relationship with that. Everyone's relationship with their fourth house is different. Some people embrace where they're from, some people reject it. You know what I mean? And that's really how you see the first to fourth house your relationship with the fourth, and then of course your relationship with your success, your identity, and how you look up to the 10th house as an Aries of what do I want to achieve, who do I look up to, who are my role models. And yeah, that's the Aries perspective.
Fourth house.
Fourth and 10th house.
Word. Yeah, and then the Libra perspective, uh from the fourth house, very very interesting, because this is conditioning your orientation towards others. And what's very interesting is naturally Gemini is the third house, dealing with communication,
Right.
as well as dealing with siblings. So a natural link is that, and mind you, hey, this is crazy. Like I knew this, but I knew this, but to become a parent and then kind of see it play out is crazy. But simply put, like, kids are going to respond more to other kids in the environment than the adults. You know what I'm saying? Hence, that's where they're really forming their communication, abilities and things of that nature.
Right.
But then, like I said, so Libra here in the fourth house is that individual is naturally tuned into those in the environment. And now the 10th house success of the parents becomes important, because naturally when Libra leaves that house, it's like, what are they witnessing in the world? How are those who they form partnerships with and are forming their own egos? How are they, perceiving them, that person coming off? So you go out and your mom or your dad, is getting a lot of attention, or they themselves are friendly. That naturally becomes an inherent way in which you react to the world. Next thing, what's going on in the home, right? Is the person, how is relationships being conducted within the home, is gonna show the fruits of how things bloom when the person becomes an adult, right? If there's always people in the atmosphere, then that can become a natural instinct or desire, for the Libra fourth house individual to do, right? So of course we want to see if energy is here, where other, are. In the next case, it may be like, if we have certain squares going on with the moon, it could be like you lived in such a chaotic environment growing up, or you experience lack of boundaries. You don't let anyone into your home. You're extremely private. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. Then in the 10th house perspective, like you were saying before, there's a natural inclination here for the Libra types, things, because Venus dealing with attraction, things open up for them. These may be the people, in their first jobs, they find success, and maybe find success just because they're well liked, right? Or they play the game, enough to get advancements and things of that nature. Yep.
That was just the fourth, right?
No, I'm sorry, talking about the 10th too. I was just talking about the 10th.
Okay, cool. Oh, that what you just said was the 10th. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where I think things get really tricky when we start to look at these perspectives with the second and the eighth house, which to me is still a bit of a mystery, because and I'm really looking forward to your interpretation for how Libra manifests Scorpio, and the seventh leads to the eighth, versus the second house, or Taurus being eighth house to Libra, because that's always been very tricky to me. I'm starting to understand it, at least the Scorpio part, in the sense where Aries are very individual, and thus they can be a bit more selfish. We could be a bit more selfish or self-centered, whereas Libra is going to be able to throw a fundraiser or pull in a lot of other people's resources, right, and share their resources. But I think there's different versions of this. But basically, when we look at the second and the eighth, which is every single house axis is fascinating to me. But what's yours is mine, what's mine is yours. Second house is what's mine, right? And then the eighth house is what's ours, or we can say is what's yours, right? If we look at other people's resources versus my resources, my value versus the trust that enables us to share our value or to transform, of course, based on the boundaries that we make in the eighth in order to protect our value in the second. And I was always confused about that until I realized with the 11th and the 5th, it's almost as if the eighth house is the checkpoint for who makes it into the 11th. Like if I don't trust you in the eighth and you can't get in my boundaries, you're not going to be gang. Versus with the 5th and the 8th, the Scorpio Leo squares definitely confused me too. And I think because I'm earth air, and so I guess water and fire is just a bit complex to understand. But you know, the eighth house being that whole level of boundaries and worth versus your courage and talents. Once again, I'm still drawing a blank now. That's just very everything Scorpio is just very confusing to me, to be honest, because it's such a fucking mystery. But
let me jump in. So I'm Virgo rising, Libra second house. It's interesting. No, this shit is interesting. It's just funny
complex.
To me. Yeah, it's funny to me. All right, so it's a good though. Is so my family. I'm Jamaican and stuff, and anybody out there who's Caribbean, let me know. There's and yeah, cultures have this thing. In my culture, it's called a podna. So it's some type of money system where everyone puts in, and it's like a bank. You know what I'm saying? I know different cultures have it and stuff like that. So, so the ruler of my second is in my 12th. So so I would say that like I've never been invited to like be a part of that. Yeah. Like my fam just doesn't. Now, mind you, I have an older sister, I have a younger sister, younger cousins. They've all been invited to be a part of that. But I never have, bro. And I say it all the time. I'm like, y'all don't invite me to be a part of this shit. And
wild. That's fucking wild.
Yeah. So
and Sag is your 4th, right?
Huh? And Sag is my 4th. Yeah. So I kind of now, how can I say it? Like, so I've always, so no one's in my family's ever been like surprised at my success. I think, everyone, I've been blessed to kind of just always be good words spoken into me since I was young. So, I'm successful and stuff, but it's not like I'm not from a family where it's like, yo, hit the successful one up for bread. No, I don't. Now, I think it's something to do with my energy though, because it goes with boundaries, right? So I think others have to know your own boundaries and stuff like that. So as a Virgo Leo, I give. I'm gonna ask why. What you need it for? You know what I'm saying? Like, and if you're the person that don't want me to ask, then I'm not for you. What the fuck?
Yeah.
But anywho, so in terms of value, now mind you, I just always I think like that. 2 heads, Supa, yeah, shit like that. Yup, she know. I think like 2 heads is better than 1. You know what I mean? But for me personally, the way my destiny is going, I have to do for self. So the more I value me, because I think I naturally mastered the Venus shit. So I'm not selfish. You get what I'm saying? So the lesson, at least for me in second house, is like, whatever you give to others, make sure you're giving to yourself. You know what I'm saying? That kind of thing. So I've seen it work like that. And then, with more synchronicities, like when I give, y'all, when I give, I really get it back. I do. Like, so it just makes it like, it's just something I noticed. You know what I'm saying? Like, just give and it comes back on some shit, like better or tenfold or whatever. And then in 8th house. So I think this Taurus rising. Is this Taurus rising? Libra in the 8th? I think so. No. That's not Taurus rising. Okay.
Pisces rising is Libra in the eighth.
Who?
Pisces rising
Pisces rising is Libra in the eighth. Okay. So in the eighth house sense now, we're going back to boundaries, right? Now, for the Pisces rising, in eighth house terms, like this is somewhat of a, and the position of the Venus will be revealing. It can either be a strong spot or a weak spot. Let's just go with the example that this Pisces rising has Venus in the 12th house and then Venus ruling that eighth.
right.
You know, the harder you love or the more you merge with others, the more you could be taking on their karma. Now that goes in a lot of different ways. That could go, you know what I mean? You're not focusing on finances, but guess what? Finances might matter. You know what I'm saying? Or in regards to your eighth house scenarios, that might be something that's lacking, or right. So you have a great physical connection, but you don't necessarily have a great material connection. So there's this absorbing that Libra in the eighth does. Okay. And this can really enhance a person, like strengthen them up, or it can take from them depending on the scenario.
True that. I like that. And of course, with Aries, you know, the second house is Aries value. So you're definitely going to be very self-drawn, selfish to what you have. I like that axis, like a 2-year-old with their favorite toy. Mine, you know, the Taurus energy, everything that they love. But the eighth house fascinates me because, you know,
oh yeah, that's me too.
Scorpio is right? Is Aries eighth house. And
yeah, that's Virgo. That's Virgo's eighth house. Aries.
Okay, Aries, right? You got Aries in the eighth. So like, you know, I've always wondered why Scorpio hates Aries so much and Aries is frustrated with Scorpio. And then I learned that Scorpio, just like Libra, they're anti-individuals and they have an extreme hatred towards selfishness. And people who, you know, this is where the ego conflicts with Aries comes in when Scorpio now is in a position to have some level of authority over Aries resources. And this really teaches Aries the lesson of trust, which I feel like, you know, an Aries that trusts someone is a very intense bond. An Aries that doesn't trust you, it's a very explosive, messy, chaotic instance. And to speak of Aries in the eighth house has also been something that's, I feel like once I understand my astrology game, it's just going to go a whole nother level because you have Virgo here, and I feel like what Aries transforms in Virgo is so analytical. Aries is just like, well, it's this now. So now you have to analyze from here, and Aries just like transform stuff by just taking actions that now changes what Virgo has to, you know what I'm saying, do. But I don't know.
Now I'll say if I'll let y'all know. This gets for so much. So it's a beauty of Aries energy. So whenever I get Aries transit, oh my God, I get so much done. Mind you, I consider myself efficient as is, but with Aries, with Aries, damn, like it kind of feels like a ninth house, like feel like when I got planets going through my eighth, I feel like so comfortable as an occultist. Like,
question though.
Yeah.
Do you think a lot of that might be because your Venus is trining the Aries and Leo and the way your sun picks it up?
Probably. I've thought about it, you know, because like
you said the ninth house feels like, okay, that could be the Venus Leo to the
Aries. Like it feels like you, and I say it like that, like I think we all try to maintain a certain level of balance with like our occult studies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I definitely try to do that, but like whenever Aries energy comes through, I'm literally like, I don't get tired of it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just more production, it's more immersion into the mysteries and stuff. But this is what I want to say for Virgo types and even people with tough sixth house, particularly Chiron in there. The transformation for Virgo occurs here when we learn not to give a fuck.
Oh, that's some real shit. I love
Oh, it's so fucking now, mind you, bro. It's great for me because like I got sixth house people in my life, and they focus on aesthetics, or they focused on what we were talking about, shit being polished. And I'm like, honestly, that's stopping you from healing the sixth house shit, because at the end of the day, it wants to be productive. But it'll Virgo can fall prey to over analyzing, which stops the flow of productivity.
Right.
So it's simply put, you got to develop this um not giving a fuckness, like the stick to itness, but also just acting like without no care. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
That's what's up. Without, I like that. Which once again could, but I feel like the Virgo who can do that is lethal for sure. That can
Do
just
what? Do what? Do what?
the Virgo that it can analyze, but then also move recklessly and have Aries is kind of lethal. Like,
Yo, I feel like that. I don't consider myself an overly like critical, or like, I just because of the journey I've been on, I'm like, I've learned to tell self to shut up and like, let's get this done. You know what I'm saying? Yes. So that's, I always try to give that advice. It'll,
do you think it's the Gemini square that puts it in check?
for sure, it's definitely that dialogue, because it's like we're here, and you know what I'm saying? Like, it's the masculine impulse. It's like, yo, I'm trying to do, bro. Like,
It doesn't
I
have
hear
to.
all of that shit, but
Yeah.
it isn't about to really change nothing.
I love that. Okay, so if we look at the third and the ninth house, very fun houses. Let's see, Libra. There we go. Libra gets inspired from Gemini, and Sag gets inspired from Aries. So if we look at the Aries perspective of the third and the ninth house, or Gemini and Sag, I really like this connection because Gemini finishes Aries' sentence. You know what I mean? Aries is Gemini's bestie or homie, the original homie. That's Offset and Takeoff. They solid. It's definitely no. That's Quavo and Takeoff.
Quavo, yeah.
That's Quavo and Takeoff. They solid. But it's also good to see. Well, regardless, Aries is. Oh, that's amazing. That's really good to know. And I really appreciated how Libra gets inspired by Gemini, because Libra is the law, and if Gemini is the truth, then Libra looks up to the truth in order to stay balanced. Versus Aquarius that looks up to gets inspired by Libra, and then Gemini gets inspired by Aquarius. But you do see, of course, Aries, right, is able to express its ideas with Gemini and the skill sets through the third, which opens up the creativity that, as we'll talk about with the fifth and the 11th, eventually leads to Leo. So it's a very magical connection that we even see in way of affinity. And the way Sagittarius completes this is that individuality of expression that breaks through into this ascension of character. And the Aries Sagittarius axis is also super magical to me because I see Sagittarius as the third form final evolution of Aries, right? Aries is Charmander, and then Sagittarius will be that Charizard level. So, right? If Aries is the warrior, Sag is the warlord to me. So Sag loves Aries so much. I've always been fascinated at how much Sagittarius loves Aries, because you have this peak energy, this top G, and to me that trine is, if the creator is Sagittarius, and Aries is God's favorite child, and then Taurus is like the nature's favorite child, and then Gemini is the cosmos's favorite child, and then Cancer is the divine's favorite child, right? But you have God's favorite, Aries, right? The baby, right? Everyone's going to stop what they're doing for a baby. It made me realize that Aries is the one sign that, and you can't really do the other signs unless they finesse. Aries is the one sign that could be wrong, And if you go against them, you're still wrong. And I thought about how that could apply. And it's like if a 2-year-old, right? If a 2-year-old smacks you in the face, you can't fight the 2-year-old back. They're gonna be like, no, the baby, you know what I'm saying? The baby.
Right.
And that's the invincibility of Aries. And some Aries know they have this ability. Like, it's crazy. And then Aries is also the power of one. So, Aries is the one. So think about how Mariah Carey gets paid millions of dollars off of one song every year, right?
Crazy.
That's Aries power. So, the ninth and the third house really bring the skill sets into an arena where they can teach it very creatively. And I'll talk about that more with the fifth, but yeah.
Word. So when we look at Libra here on the 3rd and the 9th, you'll of course want to evaluate where Venus is going to be in the chart, and in a favorable position, all types of positions actually. But let's say something like the 5th, we can see a special sibling, right? So now let's focus more on the 3rd. Let's say you got say someone may have a stellium in their 3rd house with Libra, Sun, Venus, and let's add Mars or something, right? Or Mercury, just for the signification. This could indicate that sibling being a writer or being an actor, right? Something Gemini-like of the nature. And then the aspects to that will give you insight to the natives' relationship with said sibling. Let's say in another example, let's say from the 9th or the 3rd, that deposit of Venus ends up in the 7th, and there may be 11th house influence. This may be someone who could work for their sibling.
What's your definition of a stellium, by the way?
Huh?
What's your definition of a stellium, by the way?
Oh, a stellium, 3 or more planets conjunct one another.
Cool.
Now,
okay.
Huh?
Conjunct or just in the zodiac sign?
When we're actually talking about conjunction, So I technically do kind of like to focus on the conjunction. The conjunction, because it's like, for me, like different mutations. You know what I'm saying? You're coming into this, like, you have the potential to be something. Something with, depending on the combination, it's just a matter of what manifests, and you work with it. Hold on, let me just say this before I forget. So then, when they start spacing out, that can be more chaotic. Like, it could be, you'll really want to know what the combination is. But let's say you got Mars, Pluto, and another planet. They may not be conjunct, but maybe they're at degrees where they're making other unfavorable aspects to other planets. You know what I'm saying? So you don't get that cohesion of the conjunction like that you would with the conjunction, with them being able to work together. You got what I'm saying? It's kind of isolated, but it does give a lot of activity still to the house. So
that's deep. And I didn't realize you were actually plugging in the sign in the houses. So I'll do that too. As far as
the sign, just to give it, some example perspective.
That's genius. Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah. So I was saying, let's say you get some that Venus deposited like in the 7th, and then you have some 11th house action. This could be someone who works for their sibling or is in business with their sibling. Okay. Then in other cases, the environment becomes a really big influence. When we focus more on the 9th house, you'll want to for the 9th house, Libra, what's that going to be? Virgo in the 8th, and then Leo in the 7th, right? So that's going to be major in terms of where you are in your adult life, where you located and live, and how you're going about your truth. Your relationships and what you're able to attract is going to center around that. Okay. So it's one where, let's say you got a traditional Venus. Your Venus is in the second, fourth, or you know what I'm saying, Cancer or something like that. And naturally, you connect better with people you have things in common with. This Venus in the ninth house can, part of your higher learning is to, in a sense, become more open-minded or being open towards, you know, people who are different than you.
Just it if we look at the 5th and the 11th, you know, Leo and Aquarius, Aries, how are you doing on time, bro?
Yeah, we Gucci, bro. Keep going.
Okay, yeah. So Aries connection with Leo in the 5th is really awesome, and I always use Virgo as an example whenever I do give Virgo risings a reading. So I'm glad you're Virgo rising because I want to ask if this applies. I always give Aries as an example of how the fifth houses are so different, and it makes me respect the fifth house Capricorn of a Virgo rising because it taught me that Virgo and Aries have completely different approaches to fun. Like when Aries, and let me know if this is true, when Aries wants to have fun, their fifth house is Leo. So, and I love this. Aries' concern is having fun. Like the moment it's not fun to them anymore, they're not going to do it. Then it's not going to be creative for them. Versus Virgo in their creativity, it has to be the greatest. If it's not if what they're doing for fun or if what they're creating, so if we're using like an album, for example, if Aries makes the album, Aries wants the album more to be fun. They're going to be more focused on how fun is the experience. Virgo's going to be more focused on is this shit the greatest album ever? How fucking perfect is it?
I don't know. No, I don't.
Yeah. Go in, because that was my theory. Like for the fifth house Capricorns, like they're very serious about their approach towards their creative projects. Versus Aries is just going to be more creative. They're going to be like Virgo will be creative, but in a more serious way. But as a Virgo rising, I mean, if that's not what you experience, like how do you experience the fifth house Cap?
Yeah, and I know I even dated a Virgo rising too.
Right. And Virgo sun, this could apply to you too, if that's your philosophy.
Yeah, that may be them. Because remember, Virgo wants to be seen. Sun wants to. I want you to see it in this way. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So from the Virgo rising perspective, it has to make sense. Like I'll say it like this: like Virgos are actually Virgo risings or Virgo type. We're like kind of low key, so we could enjoy. We don't need something to be loud or super, like the Super Bowl. We don't necessarily need it to be that for it to be fun.
Oh, that's deep. Yeah.
Because for me, I'm letting y'all know in my life, especially going through Pluto and Cap, I've went to certain events. I'm like, yo, this is trash bags. This is a money grab for whoever's throwing this. Like this was like all face value, but this actual experience was whack. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
See, I like that's a very critical perspective, though.
That's how the shit manifests. Like, nah, I'm on some shit like, all right, we're gonna go to Rolling Loud or whatever. It actually better be fun. Because an example, and this is great. This is great. I learned this from dating Libras. I'm like, yo, Libras don't care like what they may not even know they don't like Thai food. But if this restaurant aesthetically looks lovely, take me there. Oh, I want to go here.
So that's true. They really do that.
What? Listen, Libra doesn't. Libra, the conversation and
they really are big on aesthetic because
you like, bro. That's half the battle. I'm gonna be very honest with y'all. Like, as a man, I've had experiences where I'm like, I feel like this date isn't going well. I hope it. I feel like this isn't going well. And then the Libra will be like, this was fucking great. I'm so glad we went there. And it's really because of where you went. You get what I'm saying? But
Yeah. That's so
oh
deep.
no, they're big like that. Oh yeah. They're big. So
that's one major thing of the Aries Libra that I wanted to talk about, where Libra is the polishing of your talents, all aesthetic, it's all image. Aries, which is like, oh, I don't give a fuck, like, what's up, like we could do whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like,
right. And then you want to know to the point, like, so for me, Aries in the 8th, when I'm with Aries, it's like shit is going down, like shit is moving. Well, I let me see. Yeah, shit is moving, shit is going down.
Can you believe it? Yeah.
Facts. Like, yo, so yeah,
and like
so
savage shit could be happening with Aries too. Like somebody's having sex or getting killed or like some sewer shit, but it's raw.
It's raw. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's an adventure. It's an adventure. So I want to say, in regards to, so what I've discovered, and this probably for me, you know, with a Leo stellium, like I realized that like, nah, you could really like a good time or like a romantic time. It's the opposite of how Libra's looking at. It's like there's a time and a place for the aesthetic to be the lead, but really it's about like the vibe. Like, was this shit actually fun? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
And what I love that you even brought up about that, especially as far as like as an Earth sign 5th house, right? Or right. I'm a Taurus rising, so I wanted to know if you experience this too, and if any of you are Earth signs or Earth risings, let me know if this happens to you. I noticed that like what most people find fun is not fun to me. It's like work. Like I don't have a desire to just travel because of all the stresses that come there, just being present in certain places, going down the street, and more of that is me being an older soul. But I noticed that when I go out to the club, if I ever go out to the club, like I would have more, like I would start focusing more on the work, the workers, who's actually like, I would go there to peep game, and what I would find fun is what's the business like, you know what I'm saying? So I actually focus on fun. Or
well, I'm just an overall observer, so I'm
or observer, right?
Yeah,
or do you notice
I do that everywhere I go.
Oh, like, right. Okay. Right. I feel you on that. Or would you say that you like, my real question for y'all is, would you say that work is what's fun to you? Like, for example, if I were to describe what's fun to me, it wouldn't necessarily be going to the club or doing something genuinely fun. I don't want to smirk on those activities because that's really fun to do. But what I would really want to do is record in the studio because of a project, or travel because I'm getting paid to travel for research. You know what I'm saying? Like the work, like I actually have fun doing the work. Like if it's not tied to a purpose or something I have to do, then it's not really fun. I don't know if that's just like the earth sign.
I want to share this. So this was an interesting thing for me. And other people have told me they've had like similar experiences in different ways. So the 4th house deals with conditioning. And
yeah, that's real.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you're a kid, you're subject to how that shit goes, you know, with your family, right? So I'm from a big family, bro. And once again, my Caribbeans, let them know when we travel, bam, especially like back to the islands.
Oh,
it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
Okay.
So mind you, my growing up, that was my experience with traveling. Like, oh my God, this is a whole damn process. Like, so 4th house wise, my orientation towards traveling, 9th house shit was conditioned by my family. Right. Once I traveled alone and I saw how easy it was as a Gemini, I just got to get to the airport, go through this shit. And what? Yo, no, that was transformative. That was amazing. I was like, oh, this shit is actually easy.
You just hit a chord right there with that one. Yeah.
Bro, like I really had this whole disdain around traveling because like traveling with the fam and stuff is crazy. Yeah. So, all right. So with me and my journey, y'all, when I was, you know, looking at my chart, I was looking at things like, you know, on some Virgo shit, like, okay, what am I supposed to do better? Or like just trying to understand certain shit, learn certain lessons. So another thing in regards to like traveling is like for work, it's like that literally is like, oh, what? Work and it's like that just makes it better. It's like I'm all down for like the leisure time, but if it's like I could be productive, it's like, why is it even better?
Right, yes, productivity. That's the word. It's
Word. So now, mind you, yeah, productivity and efficiency.
and efficiency.
Yeah. So the first time I ever got like, mind you, and this is when I kind of learned what really was special to me. Like, I don't know, when the first time I made like $10,000, I wasn't gassed or some shit like that. But like the first time I got paid to speak somewhere and like, I had to go there, I was telling people like, yeah,
No big things. I see you.
I was like, yeah, I'm going to such and such, do a little talk. You know what I'm saying? So that's what helped me learn about that aspect. Like, damn, no, this is really what I like to do, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? That others may not be able, to relate. But then I would say, yeah, I really don't. Yeah. I would say the most I'm open. My mercurial energy keeps me open. So I'm curious. So I may not necessarily be interested in everything that everyone is, but I'm open to like experiencing it. And then if I experience it and it's overrated, then I kind of just look at that shit as like, all right, I don't know. That doesn't look too much of a good time to me, but y'all could go ahead.
Yeah, that's deep. I like that. And if to kind of conclude on the 11th and the 5th, like Aries connecting with the 11th is the audience to who they perform with from the 5th. Aries have their raw talents, and I think they're some of the most creative individuals ever. And so it's interesting to see how Aries' approach to the 11th is identifying with the outcast, identifying with, and I feel like Aquarius and Aries psychology sharing Pisces is very mysterious, one in a way. And I feel like Aquarius is Aries. Like Aquarius is the Aries that knows what they're doing. Whereas Aries, you know what I'm saying, is the Aquarius that hasn't yet gained the knowledge. But other than that, they're pretty much, you know what I'm saying, the same being. And that's why they connect so divinely. I always also like to joke, Aries is the villain, but Aquarius is like the true villain that you find out Aries really getting the knowledge from, right?
Now, what's your reasoning? Like, I don't need like a deep reasoning, but like what's your light reasoning for why Aquarius is the real villain?
Okay. Because Aquarius is the evil genius. So Aquarius basically fed you from the beginning, and you had no idea that they were the mastermind behind it the whole time. And then
going a little bit deeper, scientists, inventors who can invent atomic bombs and shit. And honestly,
science, universe.
It's I kind of look at Aquarius.
Aries does the plans of Aquarius. I love it. Aries does the plans. That's the stepper. They do the plans of Aquarius.
Yeah, you hit it on the head. It really is. It knows what it's doing. I kind of look at it as the sign of the atheists, because
as a motherfucker, I love that. That's so true.
Yeah. Mad scientists, atheists, motherfuckers is crazy, man.
Or you could, and let me know what you think about this, because, and you just inspired this right now. That would make sense. Oh, okay, never mind. You just answered my question, because I was gonna say, if Pisces is the believer, then the opposite of Pisces would be Virgo. Wouldn't Virgo be the atheist? But Virgo is really just the critic. So
Mike.
You just answered my question. The 12th house to Pisces would be the atheist, right? Like hidden. That's interesting. But
and then look at Virgo's 12th house. Virgo's the what? Virgo's the sign of what? Service. So with Leo in the 12th, I mean, it's right there. It's the divine. It's the divine servant.
That was clean. I fuck with it. I like to say Virgo and Virgo was clean.
And yo, mind you, right, you want to know something? I'd be like, you know, I never did like a video talking about Pluto and Scorpio and shit. And I just be like so biased. I'm like, yo, I'm not even gonna make this video because I'm just gonna talk mad shit about my whole generation and like how much we the ones.
I love it. I love it. Oh, I love it. And I'm mad biased towards Gemini and air signs and our generation for sure.
Word.
And damn it. So that was dope. So if we look at now the 6th and the 12th house, which is really lit, we see that, of course, the 6th house, Aries sees the 6th as an opportunity to integrate everything it puts together. And I really love the conflict that Virgo teaches Aries, where, you know, Aries, I feel like I misabuse Aries energy, where it's like,
damn.
I feel like, you know, if I'm not good at something the first time, I'm just not going to keep practicing. And Virgo is just like repetition, repetition, repetition. But Aries is going to be that tendency to just kind of be all over the place like a Gemini or Sag. So, you know, Virgo really keeps Aries on point. That's what I was going to say, where it's like Aries is the one, Taurus is solid, Gemini is the truth, Cancer's clean, Leo is awesome, Virgo's on point, Libra's nice, Scorpio's cold. So I just wanted to go up to Virgo. But, but basically, you know, the 12th house in conclusion, well, actually, that's what we started with, the 12th and the 6th. Aries' perspective of that.
Nah, you started with the 4th and the 10th.
No, we started with the 4th and the 10th, but we started the video off talking about how the 12th house influences Aries and the 6th.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, if we look at, you know, Aries once again with the 12th and the 6th, we're seeing that individualization of one's behavior becoming their spiritual path. And that really fascinated me so much because, you know, you have your attitude in the 3rd, which through your behavior becomes your philosophy. But I was always drawing blanks on the 12th until I realized Pisces is belief. So your lifestyle and what it is you do every day is the basis of which you can practice a spiritual path. And it made me realize that 12th house is you have what it is you do every day, but the belief you have around what it is you do every day, guided by your philosophy. And, you know, I used to think that the 9th house were beliefs, and I realized the 9th house is really more your way of life. And so you have your lifestyle and you have your beliefs in the 12th, and being able to transcend those beliefs as an Aries with this perspective does a lot to really purvey this occult magical axis. And I think it's unconsciously tapped into, but really understanding this nature of how to synthesize the magical houses, the 3rd, 6th, 9th, and 12th. I mean, books can be written on this, but yeah, especially once again, you know, 6th house for Aries is going to be the mastery of their skills and their techniques, and more so the routine. But that 12th house is going to really unlock the supernatural, divine aspect of how everything all comes together in these houses. So I'm really interested in how you tie in Libra's perspective here, because it gets even more magical with others.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. So we're keeping in mind 12th house of Libra, that's Scorpio rising, Gemini in the 8th, right? So I would say in one capacity, you know, Scorpio's an addicting energy. So there is, I'm going to say Libra in the 12th brings this, I want to say enchantress, but I feel like an enchantress is more, yeah, it could be depending on individual. Unconsciously, this individual was giving off those vibes. Okay. Yeah. So it can be one depending on, you know, that how 12th house is set up and everything else. one has this immense ability to attract through the powers of imagination, attract
relationships,
attract a lot of things. Because
okay, right.
Because remember, you opposite, right? To that, Libra in the 12th would be Aries in the 6th, right? Yeah. So as long as if you're doing what you got to do, you're meditating, you got a solid spiritual practice, you're going to naturally take the actions required to fulfill your desires. Now, that's where Venus can assist you, where Scorpio rising, right? They have that natural ability to attract, right?
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Attract the people, the things, the circumstances that they need. Okay. So that's some food for thought there. Like I said, Venus does well in the 12th. So with her controlling the 12th, the powers of imagination, the sex life, all that good stuff is good. However, we got to talk about the bad here. These could be pleasure junkies. All right. These could be nymphos. These could be, serial masturbators. Right? Yeah.
With the 6th house Aries?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Like,
and I'm talking about from the Libra and the 12 perspective too.
From the Libra 12, right?
Yeah. No, these people's with it. So, then when we drop down, when we go Libra here in the 6th house, this is for who? Who is this for? Libra in the 6th. That's is that Taurus? No.
Libra in the 6th
Cancer.
It's Taurus. Yeah, Aries 12th house and then 6th house Libra. That's my rising.
Taurus. Okay, right. So yeah, boom. In the 6th, there can be something to prove or improve upon regarding one's physical ideal. So this can be one where the dynamic with Aries in the 12th is one doesn't really recognize their individuality. This ties in perfectly what we're saying. Depending on how this Libra in the 6th house is set up, we may be doing everything it takes to polish ourselves or conform, fit in. So this can on a day-to-day being a people pleaser or just making the correct connections, right? But at the same time, there can be a loss of that rawness or that real individuality. So self-confidence with Libra in the 6th is going to be key towards one's approach towards 6th house things.
Yeah, well said. And
Word up.
That was an amazing Aries Libra synopsis. We're going to conclude with a trial. Aries is officially on trial and has been accused of hyper masculinity and selfishness, mainly selfishness. We have Gemini Brown as the prosecutor representing Libra, and we have the peace dealer as Aries defense attorney. So the jury, you are watching us right now, and the prosecutor will be sharing their opening statements right now about Aries prejudice.
Yeah, so Aries is just out here like it's the only thing in town, like it's the only show in town. It's a complete lack of regard for others. Well, guess what? I'm others, so you better respect me. All right, you better respect us, because when you disrespect one, you're disrespecting all. And you know what? We are the law, and the law must be upheld. All right. So I know you're out here feeling all raw, feeling all civilized. We wear clothes here too. All right. I don't care if you got a nice body. Throw a damn shirt on. All right. We respect suit and ties in this motherfucker. All right. Nice bright colors. All right. Shit with flowers is like too. All right. Don't come in here with your muscles all out, looking all curvy and shit.
Objection, Your Honor. My client can have his muscles out if he wants. Objection overruled. Please go ahead, Gemini Brown.
Yeah, but seriously, bro. You got to see things through. All right? Can't be out here asking cats if they want to go out for Halloween. I go out, get a goddamn costume. I'm waiting for you to show up. You're like, you know what? I just decided I don't want to fucking go trick or treat anymore. Motherfucker, you see how good I look? It wasn't easy getting this. You got to follow through. If you don't, hey, you know what happens when you don't follow through, Aries? You never make her come. You never make her come. You're only sticking and moving. All right? But finish the job, buddy. Tired of this shit.
All right, Your Honor. Okay. The first thing I'd like to say is my client is the one. All right. And if my client, you know, is a 2-pump chump or doesn't really last that long, you know, that's really on her to come as quick as she can. If he does it right. So if it takes more than 5 minutes or 2 minutes for them to get off, my client honestly doesn't give a fuck. You know, he's gonna go on to the next thing, and probably it is what it is. I also want to say once again, my client is the one. So like the child my client is representing 0-2 consciousness, we're just going to blame everything on the other. And it's very clear when we see why this happens. You know, my client is the one, so everything really revolves around my client. I know Leo thinks it's them, but this makes my client very important. My client has things to do. And while my client will work on, you know, polishing up more of their own impatience, my client is also not a fake motherfucker like other people may be. And my client maintains authenticity and originality, and I feel is very misunderstood and seen as selfish when my client just don't like to waste time with fake motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? And unfortunately, in this world, when dealing with some other people, you know, you have to deal with this image obsessed almost culture that takes my client away from being who my client really is. You know what I mean? Sometimes my client might feel that by being around others too much, they don't get to be who they really are, especially when they have to deal with other people trying to make them something they're not. And
objection, Your Honor. My client said they are more than willing to learn from Aries. They think it's some dope shit about Aries. And my client said they told Aries this, and Aries' response was, I don't give a fuck.
Objections sustained. Excuse me, Your Honor. My client does indeed not give a fuck and will most likely never give a fuck, because what my client realizes is not everything matters sometimes. And sometimes, you know, in socializing, there's just a lot of superficiality, and the superficiality of how things look like versus what they are can sometimes cause my client to lash out somewhat vulgarly. And whereas my client does appreciate the prosecutor's classiness, sometimes, you know, it can most definitely infringe upon one's individuality when there are rules placed for how one is supposed to be. And so it's not that my client is hyper masculine, it's that my client does not play that shit. So when you see my client yelling at the waiter or flipping off a driver, it's not because they're hyper masculine, it's because they don't play that shit. And I would like to rest my case.
You know, I was having a conversation with Pluto, and Pluto told me something. I was just trying to understand. I was trying to understand Aries better. I'm trying to understand, like, why does he act like he doesn't care so much? Why does he try to always show off or be seen? Right? Why does he try to please a little bit more? You know what Pluto said? Pluto said they feel inadequate where it matters.
What? Pluto been hating though. Hold on. Pluto and Mars have beef.
Pluto said he could only go a couple minutes because, You have to have the equipment to last the many rounds. So at the root of his anger might be a small dick. So that might be where we get this hypermasculinity from. But at the end of the day,
or abject selfishness, to where Aries is the I really don't care if you get off, bitch. It is what it is. Like, even the woman too. I mean, I'm not gonna say even the woman, but like, this basically, it just only caring about yourself and not caring for other, which I feel like is a power in and of itself. But I can understand how frustrating it is. So I'll be Aries and you be Libra, and let's go back and forth on what we don't like about each other, or what we're prejudiced about each other, and we can basically just go back statement by statement.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did we just do that though?
No, we did with the prosecutors, but now it focused a bit more on Aries. So now Aries gets to we get to focus on Libra now.
Go and watch me, bro.
I see what you mean. You already said it. My bad. Okay. Yeah. So Libra, I don't like how you be dissing people with compliments, and you kind of know how to use your charm to finesse people.
And so say something I don't like about Aries.
Mm-hmm. Or prejudice of Aries.
Oh,
Aries, we can just go off the prejudices,
bro. You don't get as much shit done as you say you can do. You don't see shit through.
You don't really like people like you act like you
do. I'll be confused about that. I'll be confused. The motherfuckers be switching up, and I'll be trying to switch up too.
I get it. That's hilarious.
Yeah. I don't like that. I don't like y'all always showing skin. Put a damn shirt on.
Pluto, you said Pluto said I don't have I'm lacking down there. Pluto said that you fake and you just use people in relationships.
Hey, I learned from the best. Pluto was like, hey, he told me a secret one time, and I was like, where?
Oh my god. You only care about image and being with the popular and cool people.
Aries. I don't know, bro. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like I said them already. I don't know.
Yeah, you said you went in. You already went in. But it's cool. It's cool. Yeah. Nah, it's hard. Libra's my favorite sign, dude. And Aries is the homie, so this is really fun. Is there anything?
Nah, the biggest thing I would say, this is the biggest thing I would say. Aries just needs to, like I said, know when to compromise. Like, there's a time for individuality, but there is a benefit in, at times, compromise. Compromise doesn't necessarily mean completely giving up or giving in, but that compromise can get things done. And then I would say for Libra, it's simple. You can't please everyone. You can't. So,
and stop lying.
Yeah, so you can't please everybody. So you might as well. And people respect those who speak their mind more than those who just agree with everything.
Libra and Pisces lie to help not hurt other people's feelings. And then Libra is so intelligent, they know how to lie. Like Libra knows when to lie versus Aries that might lie more impulsively just because it might, I don't know, it's interesting. But and the whole Libra thing is a thing. Like I thought that was like just no, for real. Like I thought it was just maybe like a stereotype, but Libra, like Gemini is good at lying. Gemini, we're really good at lying, but Libra, but we're honest to a fault. Libra know how to fucking lie. And I don't mean like in a bad way, like it's a skill. Like these motherfuckers, they don't lie pathologically like Pisces can lie. Libra.
I want to ask you this, and anyone in the chat can comment too. As a Gemini, I feel like I'll say this. I feel like Libra lies because they're confused about how to answer.
Because it's the right thing to do. They think it's the right thing to do in the moment. It's the smart thing to do. If it makes sense to lie, then Libra's gonna lie. If it doesn't, if it makes sense and it's logical to lie, they'll just.
And that's something that I discovered as a Gemini, though. Like
something.
Like, yeah. So I think my first intention was to just be blunt. But through life, I'm like, nah, bro. Like you got a lot of people sometimes. And I don't say that like.
No, you're right. Answer my question. Or I think you just answered my question where it's like, would you say as a Gemini, basically, we lie if we know that telling the truth will just like create more chaos and it's just not worth it?
Yeah, like, and I don't know if it's like when we say the truth is because we're saying it creates more chaos, but it just
you nailed it. It's literally that. Because some people will say the same thing, but when we say it, people act different.
Yeah, it's like
almost like they want to play contrarian or something like that.
Like you just wanted someone to lie to you just now? Like, yeah, it's crazy, bro. It's crazy. Like, trust me, there's plenty of times where I'm like, now I'm being honest, my nigga. And that honest shit was like, what? I shouldn't have said shit.
I shouldn't have said, I feel you. Yes. Versus Libra is literally the opposite. Libra will already be intelligent enough to know that what they're saying isn't necessarily, because they're very socially acute like that. So they'll know if what they're saying is fair in the social instance or not. And Libra knows how to lie like a salesman or like a Venusian charmer. Like, yeah, you do look beautiful in that dress.
It's crazy because like when you were like once I noticed that like Libra was the socially dominant sign, it did like I don't, because you know all the energies are within us or whatever, but I do often think like, damn, what the hell would it be like to have like that energy? Like as to what you say, like you said it's socially acute and shit. As a Gemini, I feel those things, but I wonder how it feels from the Libra perspective.
So right. Yeah. Especially because once again, Libra is not an individual. So it's like Libra lies the way society lies to you. And the way society kind of gaslights your individuality, it's interesting to see that in certain Libra representatives, because it's never usually ill too in some ways versus it being manipulative. But yeah, it's a very fascinating psychology once we get closer to Scorpio.
Yeah, because I wonder, I'm like, yo, if I had this energy, would I be a little more? Because I feel like a high level of individuality within myself. So I'm like, damn, like from their perspective, it's like, what would such and such do? I don't know. I can definitely see how it's just a different mode of thought.
No, for real. And I like how you brought up the fall, because that is really interesting. Lucifer, the ruler of the prince of the air, falling into the second heaven, and the sun's in its fall versus Aries in its exaltation, the baby. So it's really interesting. Once again, like we'll revisit these signs in different contexts. We'll probably do like relationship compatibility and whatnot. But you know, and yeah, be aware of dark side Libras, because the main theory that I've come with this, right, in bringing all of this together is evil begins at Libra, and it's impossible for Aries, Taurus, Gemini, and Cancer to be evil.
Yeah, and we could go back in on another episode and explore that, because I kind of want to get into that, because
and I'm not talking about Libra people.
No, I mean like that psychology, and simply put, I look at it as, I don't know if this holds like the same kind of association. Betrayal,
right?
Like betrayal is an evil thing, but it's kind of like at its core, at its minimum, if evil were something small, I think it would be betrayal, because who's betraying you? Another.
Oh, I see what you mean.
That betrayal feels like an act of evil on me. But I want to get into that. So yeah, we could.
No, yeah, it's a book. It's a book length content, and just to go a little bit into that, Aries to Gemini alone is 0 to 7. So if you see an evil Aries, Taurus, or Gemini, and I don't mean individuals, but if you see evil in that energy, even through the individuals, it's because they were corrupted. A child has to learn that, right? First Libra, once you get to that 35 years, it's evil in the sense where you're making more informed choices and decisions to go towards a path. By the time you get to Aquarius, evil genius in your 70s, and you're cold and you're callous and you no longer have that warmth and love that you had at Leo. So Cancer to Virgo is that spot in our teenage years where we can now gain corruption, and that's when we start to get influenced by other people. So there's certain things to keep in mind, and of course yeah, but see, at the end of the day, Libra is justice and Capricorn is integrity. So that's why my theory is the hardest, most difficult thing to be is a Libra or Capricorn with integrity, because those energies get the most tempted. Because like if you corrupt justice and if you corrupt integrity, then everything's fucked. So I mean, of course, every sign, right?
Yo, I'm gonna just say this before we end. Yo, you watch Snowfall, bro?
No, I heard it's good though.
It's good. But damn, to that point, it's crazy. It's the scene in there, right?
Yeah.
So the main character, he killed this cop who was his next door neighbor, but he had to kill him because the cop was doing too much.
Oh shit.
Now, beforehand, the cop that got killed and his partner, they were, on their justice shit. We got to take him down. He's selling all this crack and shit, right? So my man's partner gets killed, right? And then at first, it's like the energy that the show was showing you was like the cop wants to come back and kill the dude who killed his partner, right? So then the cop targets that dude. He pulls him over. And he gets in the car. They're making it seem like he's about to kill him. And then like the nigga is shook. The dude who killed the cop is shook. And the cop basically says, yeah, I could kill you right now, or we could work something out.
Ooh.
Yeah, and then the character says, the almighty dollar. And then, that's essentially justice versus integrity. It was like, I was on this justice shit until I fucking had an epiphany. Like, you know what? Like, there's some beneficial shit here. So he compromises integrity.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's crazy.
Deep as fuck.
Which leads back to like Scorpio in the sense. Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Scorpio. And then Scorpio in the pathology of evil is purity. And so when Scorpio loses trust or gets betrayed, like you said, that's what transforms good to evil, and creates a villain. So yeah, there's a lot to go into that.
Is that what you just said? The pathology of evil, is that a document or a book or something?
I want to write a book called The Science of Evil, because I feel like the way people look at evil is too emotionally, too religiously, too philosophically. If you look at evil as a science instead of like a philosophy, and like, why are people evil, or as something mythological, right? You understand the basis of it. You understand there's a science to it, to why, if evil is just the absence of truth, then you see it as less of like a villain hero thing and more of a, this nigga ain't shit thing, or this person's cool. You know what I mean? But it's something I want to expand on. But yeah, thank you guys for enjoying this series. Gemini Brown, much love. This was super awesome. And Pernell, appreciate you for sparking the idea.
Sparking it. Word.
Aries style. All right. So yeah, we'll keep we'll keep
for real. Yeah, we back next week.
What you trying to do next week?
Well, that's what I just said. We'll just talk about it.
We'll keep you guys updated on what we might do next, or we could probably definitely freestyle something, if anything. But you guys stay blessed as always, okay? And until next time,
Peace.